The House of Mystery presents Inside Writing, the radio show where authors discuss their writing process in all genres.
Well, welcome back to the House of Mystery. I'm your host, Al Moore, and this is KFNX 1100 AM Phoenix, independent talk radio. Today we're talking about the paranormal again, but this time we're talking with an investigator that kind of investigates a different angle. He's more into haunted objects and has had well over 30 years of exploration in this area. John Zaffis. Now, thank you very much for being on the show.
Oh, thanks, Al, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Wow, so you've got quite a bit of experience. Now, what led you into the area of haunted objects rather than, let's say, looking for ghosts?
Well, I really do all of the above. I've been in the paranormal arena now for over 43 years and investigate all different types of things. But a few years back, I thought, gee, it'd be a cool idea to do a TV show just on the haunted objects. We have haunted houses, haunted land, haunted people, and we've always had haunted objects, been collecting them for well over 40 years from different locations and different things, and had people send them to me over the course of the years. And several years back, decided to put a barn up on the property, and I house all those haunted items in the barn on the property today.
Wow. How is that for lifestyle? Like, are you like collecting all these items that are haunted? Does that sort of affect you or the living by them or with them or around them? Well,
there's a lot of prayers and bindings and different things that are done over the items to contain the energy or to break the energy that's associated with them. I'm a very firm believer in, if it's a public type of building or, an area where people aren't living, that's where those items should remain. And it keeps it away from people because, again, we deal with energy and we know energy can't be destroyed. So therefore, a lot of times when we come in contact with an item that might have something attached to it, it can trigger it and cause paranormal activity to occur in homes. So I always recommend to people to definitely not keep them there. Is there activity in the paranormal barn where I house a lot of these things? Yes, people have a lot of different experiences, and people tell me continuously about the different items that are down there that I've never talked about or really got brought out into the forefront, sharing some of the information. So again, it's one of those difficult things, Al. It's like a house or a piece of property. They really can't communicate with us. So therefore, we do everything we can as far as trying to break activity associated with them.
How do you know, like when someone contacts you or let's say your investigation and they're looking for some help and you go to a place, but how do you know when because when they contact you, they don't always tell you, oh, I've got a doll or a clock or something that's haunting me. They don't necessarily know. How is it you find that?
Well, one of the key things with investigating is asking, many questions. And one of the questions I ask of every case I get involved with, have you brought anything new into the house, or did you get involved with anything? And believe it or not, a lot of times that will trigger a person's memory. Gee, you know what? Just happened to pick up this glass set, and that's just about the time framing when everything started. So that's what we'll always look for, in these circumstances. Anything new that was brought in, or anything they picked up from a yard sale. I mean, these are typical type of questions that I do ask these individuals, to see. And then when we're there investigating, again, we check to see if we can get any readings off of an item, or if we can get any EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, around the items. And a lot of times I'll recommend to the homeowner, just take the item, put it out in your garage or, in a building outside the house, and let's see if things calm down. If they feel it's that particular item, and if it calms down, that tells me there's a good possibility that we have something associated with it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now, you opened your paranormal museum back in 2004, right?
Yes. Yep.
And people can come and visit and see things, right?
Well, I do a lot of teaching. I don't have it open up to the public. I live in a residential area, but I do a lot of teaching. I work with a lot of universities within my area. The paranormal groups come in. I mean, people sometimes, friends and things will stop by and go into the museum. But I am looking, hopefully, somewhere in the future to get it relocated into an environment and, a sort of speak storefront where I can do tours in there and do lectures and do different things so people can, come to visit and look at the items, but don't touch.
You break it, you buy it. Is there a particular let's say criteria? So when you're doing investigation and you find something that's haunted, is there certain ones you choose for the museum and certain ones you don't? Like, is there a selection process?
Usually the way I look at it is if I'm having a lot of difficulty and it's a heavy-duty case and the item is definitely associated and something's attached to it, I sometimes do make a decision to bury the item or throw it into a body of water. Unless I have clergy with me or a spiritual person like a shaman or something, then I will let them make the choice on how they, would like to dispose of it. Because again, breaking or burning an item, you got to be very careful. If there is indeed something attached to it, it can gravitate right towards you. So there are items, but not by any particular, circumstances as far as an item, whether I will bring it back to the museum or not. There are things that I definitely have disposed of over the course of the years.
How do you dispose of it then? Like you're saying, here I am, I've got some haunted thing going on. Do I? So you're saying not to burn it or throw it away?
I definitely recommend to people not to burn it or break it. Call somebody in to have it removed. There's paranormal groups, everywhere today. So I definitely recommend if a person's not comfortable or call their clergy could come in and bless it. Because again, if you have a family heirloom, I mean, I'm not really interested in grandma's 5-carat diamond ring. I'm just not. Again, that's a family heirloom, so I recommend that, they have a binding or something done over it, put it in a safe deposit box, or, put it in a location, especially if it's not being worn or something, where the energies aren't going to intermingle and, cause a disturbance to transpire as far as paranormal activity.
So now you're coming back in Destination America and
yes,
going to be doing more Haunted Collector. So that's pretty exciting.
Well, I'm thrilled about it. Again, to Destination America, again, the leading network out there today for all the different paranormal shows. And, what's always a big chuckle with me is watching some of the different things they have on there, some of the different shows. Gosh, there isn't too many of the people on these shows that I haven't worked with, or they're my personal friends. So again, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty exciting that, Destination America is lining it up with a lot of the paranormal shows, reruns like Haunted Collector is right at this point in time. Giving that opportunity for so many people out there to see a lot of the paranormal shows that are no longer on the major networking. So again, it was pretty exciting this past week to have it re-air and, just to take a look at those episodes and go, gee, wow, that's so cool. I forgot about this or I forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so for the people that haven't seen it, what's the show, what's the focus and what's it about?
Well, what we did is, as being paranormal investigators, it focuses around haunted items. And, again, too, a lot of people say, well, gee, every episode's about a haunted item. Like, yeah, it's called Haunted Collector. So, we're not going to go in and evaluate and look at the circumstances of something if we know we're dealing with human spirit and ghost or something that could be extremely negative. We usually choose the cases that, there's the possibility an item is associated with it and go in and investigate it, and use those episodes for the TV show. because it's intriguing, it's interesting as you're getting involved with it. You know, it's important to know your history, to do your research, to dig into it, see what you could find out. If there is a particular item that's tying in with it, how is it all affiliated? Why is it triggering something? That's what I find so fascinating when dealing with the paranormal, you know, across the board, with just items, homes, or land. A lot of times the stories and the information and things that you're doing as your research is going along can just lead you down a totally different path. And that's happened several different times with episodes.
And who's your team that you've got working with you on the new series?
These are reruns that are on Destination America.
Okay.
Again, Beth, Brian, my daughter Amy, my son Chris, and myself for first season. Then when we were doing season 2 and season 3, that was Jesslyn and Jason that had joined the 2 additional seasons. So again, with all of that, you know, knowing all of them and being involved with them, it wasn't just a TV show. Each and every one of them are involved with me on a personal level that I've known for many, many years.
That's pretty cool.
Well, it is sometimes because, you know, they treat me like Dad, and when one starts on me, they all start, and Dad turns around and rebels against them.
Yeah. Yeah, there's other issues there. Well, and I was noticing it, and I didn't realize this, but you have kind of a famous paranormal aunt and uncle.
Yes.
I didn't realize that that was your aunt and uncle, Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yes, Ed Warren was my mom's twin. And again, I was very fortunate, you know, for many, many years of working with them, being involved with some of their major cases, and I learned a great deal from the both of them. And again, you know, just mentoring on them and learning, you know, what to look for, how to look for it, the exposure to so many different spiritual people out there. You know, it was a foundation that I could have never done, you know, without my aunt and uncle backing me or dragging the kid along with them on some of their investigations.
Oh, yeah, I'd imagine. So on the series, was there a particular episode that really stays with you?
Well, each and every one of them, to be honest with you, were so unique, and you know, looking at it, the perspective of it, it's always interesting. I mean, one that we have coming up on April 26th was this ale house, and it was in New Mexico. And the woman was having all kinds of problems, and there were things that were occurring, and she didn't understand it. People were seeing shadow forms. The stoves were turning on and off and everything. And as we investigated, we got involved with it, we found out that, you know, the property plus a couple of things she had in there for decorations and, you know, things she had stored that she picked up, we found out were definitely tied in with a very big explosion in one of the mines locally to the piece of property. So we were able to associate this one piece of memorabilia that she had, that there was a tremendous amount attached with it. And it was one of those little pumps that you would press down on, and it would ignite the dynamite in the caves and different things. So again, there was a tremendous amount associated with it, and that took a big twist because no one even gave it a thought. No one ever thought anything about it, but we were getting a lot of activity coming from up in the attic. And when everybody was up there checking, they were able to find this particular item up there, brought it down, and there was a lot that occurred that evening as we were there researching, and a lot of activity kicked up. So again, sometimes the most least expected things are the things that occur and happen, you know, in these. And I'm, you know, very excited to be able to watch that one, you know, when it comes up on the 26th. Also, old places, the old St. James Hotel. Again, going in to investigate when they have a tremendous amount of history with them, Jesse James, Annie Oakley, you know, Buffalo Bill, a lot of these different people that are affiliated with these places, from a historical perspective, going in and checking out, gee, you know, they might have stayed in this room, or, you know, we know they did, or, you know, items or something they might have left behind can trigger a lot of paranormal activity, and it makes it very intriguing and interesting to go in and investigate these places.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Have you had experiences with dolls then?
I'm sorry?
A doll. Like, have you had any experiences with a doll?
Which many dolls. I have many of them in the museum that either been sent to me directly or we have removed from a lot of different investigations. You know, and it's always interesting because you would think a doll, you know, children play, little girls play with them, and you know, there's not usually any issues, and people are often confused on why would something so innocently have energy attached to it, because it's something you wouldn't expect. You wouldn't expect a porcelain doll or, you know, a Raggedy Ann doll to have something attached to it. So therefore, a lot of times we find there's an intent and purpose with the dolls, that the energy is attached to them. Or it could have belonged, you know, to someone that, you know, was that was their favorite toy, or that was their favorite item that they had. And dolls just seem to really be a big target for paranormal activity.
Is there another item that's really surprising that you just never see, but once in a while it comes up and it's a total shock?
I think it's religious items of any nature. You know, in the beginning stages, it was something that was very mind-boggling, because you wouldn't think anything from a synagogue, a church, or a chapel, or any of these places would necessarily have something negative attached to them. But many items that people have bought at auctions or have been removed from spiritual locations can trigger a lot of paranormal activity. And again, you know, it's used in a positive attribute, if you will, with these items. They're done with, you know, worshiping things on a positive, but when they come into a negative environment or used in a negative environment, it can trigger paranormal activity whenever people bring these types of things into their homes. I mean, Bibles, candle holders, I have religious statues, you name it, and there's a lot of different things that you would least expect to be having a paranormal issue that really has some major things occurring to it.
And you yourself, have you had paranormal experiences when, let's say, when you were younger?
Well, again, even to this day, I still experience different things, but I view it differently. When I was younger, I used to get scared. You know, and I'm very open about it. You know, in a learning process with the paranormal, because it's the unknown. You know, none of us exactly can, prove anything out from a scientific perspective, so it's a difficult thing. You know, and I come from basically engineering, mechanical background, you know, as far as the pharmaceutical end of my life for many years, so therefore I always try to look for logical things. And I think the more you research, the more you get into things, you have an understanding that energy can never be destroyed, but you know, it can linger, and sometimes it has an intelligence. So, you know, having experiences or having things occur, I don't think too much of it, Al. And people laugh, you know, because I'll watch other people around me now, you know, get excited and jump up and down. I mean, I'll still get that aha moment, but again, it's interesting because I can look and reflect back upon that when I used to jump in. I used to get scared and want to go outside that building when my uncle would look at me. So I turn around and basically it's almost the same thing now. I sit there and go, put a smile on. I go, well, there's definitely something going on. I try to comprehend it and I try to understand it. I can't evaluate it, but when things occur, you know, I go, okay, what's coming down the road? What's going to happen? Is this tying in with an investigation I'm working on, or is a deceased loved one trying to communicate? This is the way I perceive it these days and the way I look at it. I try to take everything and see if there's some type of connection with it. Now, again, you know, when things are intense and you're working on heavier duty cases, you got to be more cautious and more guarded when getting involved with those types of things. And things are going to occur and things are going to happen. And like I always tell people, you know, I'll hear this all the time from people. I want to go out and look for Casper the Ghost. I want to do this, I want to do that, but I don't want anything to follow me home. Well, that's the chance you take, because you get involved with this, sooner or later, you're going to end up having paranormal experiences.
Yeah. Now, you wrote a book as well, didn't you, with Rosemary Ellen Guiley?
Yes, I wrote.
We at Wondery, creators of Dr. Death, Scamfluencers, and Over My Dead Body, go deeper into complex true crime stories to give you an inside look at the facts. And now we're launching the ultimate true crime fan destination, Exhibit C. It's truly criminal. Wondery's Exhibit C gives you the detective's lens of all of the evidence, taking you step by step through the twists and turns of each true crime case. Join the Exhibit C online community to access exclusive show merchandise, member-only content, and to hear directly from top criminal and social justice experts, witnesses, and investigators as they take us beyond the evidence and into the case file. Join now by following Wondery Exhibit C on Facebook or find us on the web at WonderyExhibitC.com and listen to true crime podcasts on Wondery and Amazon Music. Exhibit C. It's truly criminal.
We have a new one that'll be coming out sometime this summer, Haunted by the Things You Love. And my first book, Shadows of the Dark, that goes into the darker aspect of some of the cases I've been involved with. And Haunted by the Things You Love is about a lot of the items and different techniques, what to look for, how to understand things, and so that people can get a better understanding of it. Because I don't think every antique out there is haunted. It's far and few in between, but we hear about it when they cause disturbances.
Can you share with the listeners what one of the darkest items that were haunted in your past?
Yeah, I have what I refer to as an idol. It's a bust. A young man got himself involved with practicing things in the occult on the dark end of it. And for several weeks, his personality started to change. And one night he just came down and started telling his parents that, he got himself involved with stuff and it was wreaking all kinds of havoc on him. And they went up into his bedroom with him and he had an altar set up and this 2-foot statue was there. And he said, whatever I conjured up, whatever I brought in is living inside that statue now, and now it is telling me to kill myself. Well, the young man needed a deliverance and several other things done over him. It was removed, and today it resides in the museum. So there's a mishmash of a lot of different things, ritual items and just ordinary trinkets to furniture to jackets to you name it, and sometimes you just never know that end up in my barn with cumulative of a lot of items.
Yeah. So you're still doing this to this day right now?
Yes, I am. I still investigate. I still get involved. After all these years, it's something I will always have an interest in, and I think the key element with that is that we all want those answers. We're all looking for that big question that we all have. What happens to the energy, the spirit, the soul after it leaves that physical body? Why are the communications taking place so strongly today compared to even years ago? I look forward to the advancing. I enjoy playing with some of the different pieces of equipment that are out there, that, some of the things they came up with today to be able to chart and record different things. So, yes, I'm very much involved today as I've always been.
Have you ever then resolved or come up with what you think happens when people pass on?
Well, it's all theory. I do believe that we, definitely consist of energy. I believe once that energy leaves, studying and being involved with so many different religions, some people believe that there's a heaven, some people believe there's a hell, and that this can transpire and this can occur. Some people believe living on Earth is hell. So again, it depends on the interpretations of a lot of different things. But I do feel that there's such mystery in our universe and things that we just don't understand or comprehend. I know something occurs. I know things happen. And I do believe that, communications do occur and they do happen, but I just don't have those golden answers that we're all searching for. Hopefully someday before I turn into a ghost, I'll know a little bit more and hopefully maybe have an answer.
Wow. So now, on your investigations, do you ever bring a medium in or a medium to analyze an item if it's sort of showing haunted?
Absolutely. I've had the opportunity on many investigations, including the TV show, to work with several people that are gifted. And you have to remember, I've always worked with them. Lorraine Warren, as far as I'm concerned, is a very gifted person. I'd watch her walk in cold and get more information than you could ever imagine that would tie in with something. But even to this day, I still do. I have very good friends that I work with that sometimes they can pick up the information and be able to help us, whether it's an item or, the environment or an individual that we're working with.
And what about equipment, the scientific side? Do you guys use a lot of equipment?
My entire team does. Yes, there's like 26 people within my paranormal group. And the horns, bells, and whistles, as I call it. There's so many different things out there. Me, I still stick to the basics. And what I mean by that is sometimes, I'll do photography work. Have my tape recorder usually running. Videoing is an extremely important element with a lot of this. But work with a lot of groups out there, including my own team, watching them, setting up everything, the infrared and the cameras all over the place, and tri-field meters, you name it, they all use it. And, sometimes when activity spikes, it's really intriguing and interesting watching all the equipment go off. It really is. Because it's just verifying that there's something occurring that we can't see and we can't touch, but we're all experiencing it. So I'm very intrigued by a lot of the equipment.
Oh, yeah. Is there a certain location or a place that you love to go and investigate, even though you've been there before?
Gettysburg.
Oh, okay.
Gettysburg, I've been going there for as many years as I could possibly remember. I continuously... I'm always intrigued each and every time I go down there. It's a very unique type of place, but most battlefields are. But Gettysburg is just one of those unique types of places where it's interesting to watch people, too, have experiences for the very first time, because if anything's ever going to happen on a paranormal level, it's Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
So is it about the feel, or just because there's just so much going on, so much activity?
I think it's a combination of several things. Anywhere where there's a tremendous amount of tragedy, I do believe that, energy can linger, and it could stay there, and people coming in that are sensitive, or us, we're like batteries. And, when we go into these locations, we get all hyped up, and, more energy gets thrown off of us. So therefore, I do believe that, that possibility, that energy connection could take place and you can have a paranormal experience. And a lot of the buildings down there are definitely haunted, and there's a lot that transpires and does happen.
Does anything ever stay with you? Like, do you end up having dreams yourself, or things that you take home after investigations? Well,
I definitely feel that, again, tying in with any of these types of things, just talking now about the Revolutionary War. May 3rd, we will be doing an episode where a young man, was having experiences, and he kept feeling like he was in the battles, and he had different things occurring with him, and this kept happening and happening. We found out that the house was built on a piece of property down in Maryland where there was, one of the battles. So a lot of these things do connect, regardless of whether it's an old building or a new building. Energy can, hang around. I try to always explain things so that everybody can comprehend it, and can cause certain individuals to have paranormal experiences. So I would definitely say yes.
And I have to ask now, items like Ouija boards, did you find there any more, let's say, I don't want to say evil, but any more possessed than other items? Like, do you fear them, or are you cautious with them?
Well, I'm very cautious, in all fairness. Again, the Ouija board is nothing but a game, and it's not the board, it's not the planchette that brings the spirit in, it's us with the individuals. We're the catalysts. So, when certain individuals play it, they end up opening up the door to the spirit realm to establish communication, and sometimes that energy attaches to these boards, just like pendulums or tarot cards or anything. Energy is going to attach to it. Therefore, the Ouija has become very popular with, being one of the devil's tools, so to speak. But again, I have many of them in the museum that have been removed from investigations. We worked on one case where, that's an episode that the young man was playing with the Ouija and started all kinds of problems, and it ended up getting broke in the house and causing more problems within. But again, when it comes to that, I could have probably a good 100 Ouija boards today in the Paranormal Museum.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. It's just crazy the amount of attention the Ouija boards have got the last little while with the movie and everything else like that.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a place that you'd love to investigate that you haven't been to yet?
Oh, gosh, there's so many. Everybody thinks I've been just about everywhere, but, again, there's just so many locations out there. There's battlefields and historical places I've never been. I'd love to go to Egypt, Greece, just to check some of those types of locations out, to see what the activity's like. So, I mean, my wish list is very, very long still.
Well, it's hopefully you get enough time to do it all.
Well, you always hope. You hope things pull together and those opportunities, present themselves, and you get that opportunity to go to some of the different locations. You always hope for it.
Do you feel that there's a difference country to country? Like if you're in England or in Canada or Australia and investigating, do you feel there's a difference in the cultures, like how they perceive things?
Oh, absolutely. I've spent time over in England and Scotland and Ireland years back, and their view and the way they handle the paranormal has always been extremely different from us. They try to comprehend it. They try to understand it. Again, a lot of the buildings are, a lot older than what we have here in the U.S. So again, watching and understanding the way they talk about it. I mean, over there, it's uncommon not to have something in your house or in your building. So again, they embrace it and they look at it probably a lot more openly and differently than we do here. Now, again, I have to say, in regards to, so much that's transpired over the past several years as far as TV shows and movies and things, we're catching up. People talk more about the paranormal today than they used to. People were afraid. They didn't want everybody to think they were cuckoo. So I always did. The one thing I find interesting is having someone walk up to me that's 80 or 90 years old and just start telling me about a ghost story, and they feel so much better because they were never allowed to talk about it, and they could finally let it out, and people won't think they're crazy.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's our thought of as evil,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you think there's a reason for that? Like why the U.S. is so, let's say, behind, or as, let's say, Europe?
I feel it has a lot to do as far as, the newness, if that makes any sense to you. We're a baby country in comparison to a lot of the other countries out there. When you have buildings that are 800-900 years old, and people are accustomed to it. Where over here, like I said, over the past several years, it's being viewed a lot differently now and comprehended a lot differently. And we're a culture here in the U.S. where we need proof. That's us. That's just the way we are. We like our tangible proof. We want to know if something exists. And we like our quick answers. We just view everything. So even between the U.S. and Canada, there's even a huge difference as far as culturally the way they view the paranormal in comparison to the way we do here in the U.S. But again, I think it's because we, for so many years, have strived for wanting that scientific proof, and again, we're catching up. We're catching up. That's one area I definitely say that we're catching up on these days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so, do you think that the TV shows and the media and sort of things like that have been good for the paranormal community? Yes,
and no. With it, people have to understand, it's entertainment. People aren't going to sit there and watch nothing if you're just sitting there doing EVPs and just, staring and just taking photographs. There could be hours and hours of filming that take place, and that has to get cut down into a little episode. So therefore, sometimes you could be on the location for some time before you get anything. But, for that half-hour segment, they're going to take the parts where, the most activity is occurring, or there's something that's transpiring, so that people are going to be interested in watching the shows. But it's like anything else. I don't look at our field any different than anything else. You always get criticized, and you got people that like it. You got people that are going to say, you're doing things on a negative level. So, again, just like anything else, but I feel it's a double-edged sword. It's opened up a lot, made people reach out, and on the other hand, it's, caused a lot of criticism.
Yeah. But you think it's going in the right direction?
Well, to advance, you have to keep pushing forward, and as you do move forward, you're going to have stumbling blocks and different things. So, yes, I think we're on the right path. We're moving forward. We're getting some of the information out there. So, again, I look at it from that way, and I often look back, like I said, over the past several years, it's just a phenomenal, the amount of people that get interested in the paranormal and investigate in comparison to years ago.
Yeah. And so, where do you see yourself going next?
Well, actually, I'm heading down to Gettysburg this weekend.
Oh, well, there you go.
Continuously, involved with different cases and different things and working with different people. So, within a week's time, I could be in Connecticut one day, and then next thing you know, I could end up in another state or something. So it's not an unusual for me, to continuously be on the move or doing things or getting involved with things, lecturing or going to campuses or, all of the above.
Yeah. So this is your full-time life?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Several years back, and when we all went through that big hurdle, with everything crashing, I got laid off from working full-time and decided at that point to take a chance at lecturing and, being involved with it. And, that's basically what I do. Again, I was older. I worked 30 years, and, I was already pretty much established where I was able to take that chance at that point and, just be able to go out and lecture and do universities and colleges and things.
And so you really enjoy doing the lecturing and seeing people live like that?
I love it. I love being with people. I enjoy very much the interaction with people. That to me is something that I've always enjoyed. I always will. It's an important element because today we've gotten to be so much social media, just going on the internet or texting and everything that, it's a very key element, to still get out there, socialize with people, talk to people, and do those things, and, to still bring things back to TV, even though they've been off the air for a few years or something like that, bringing back the TV shows, people enjoy it, and a lot of times people just say, hey, I didn't catch this the first round, or I didn't see this in, that show or this show. I hear that continuously from a lot of different people. So again, I look at everything as being able to have that opportunity to be able to gain knowledge.
And so now your Haunted Collector will be seen on which nights and what's the time?
It's Tuesday evenings on Destination America at 9 p.m. Eastern Time and 8 p.m. Central Time. And there's several very good episodes coming up, and I'm looking very forward to seeing them because some of them I haven't seen in quite some time either.
Yeah. Or now, how many are they going to show? Are they going to show quite a few of them?
I honestly couldn't tell you. We're on season 1 right at this point, and I don't know, whether they're showing season 2 or season 3. I'm not quite sure at this point in time. But like I said, the kids and I are just happy that some of them are back on, and some of the items that they're talking about, and being on a network and being out there with a whole bunch of my other friends.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. How do people get a hold of you if they have something that they feel is haunted?
Very easily, just johnzaffis.com, and takes you into all my different websites that are out there, my email address, and how to contact me. I'm very accessible as far as email and, people just calling me up on the phone or talking to me. And again, that is one of the easiest ways to get a hold of me.
Well, it's certainly been an enjoyable conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I did too.
Show's over for now.
Was it as good for you as it was for me?
Well, good night.
This has been a production of the Z-Talk Radio Network.
I'll be back.
You've been listening to the House of Mystery radio show. To find out more about our guests, hosts, or show, go to www.houseofmystery.com.
Show's over for now.
Was it as good for you as it was for me?
Well, good night.
This has been a production of Something Weird Media.
I'll be back.